I am DeeDee Villareal, and I am the Data Analytics Manager on our Technical Innovation team here at Workspend. I'm responsible for the end-to-end process of obtaining the data and from its originating source and transforming it through our Workspend data layer to displaying the information in an understandable way for our clients to use in their day-to-day activities. I feel every client is different, and most come to Workspend looking for what they're not getting from their current partnerships. That could mean analyzing how long it takes to hire a worker, offer improvements to a process, creating visibility into their costs each month by comparing, current rates versus markups, um, to just something that we can offer it from Workspend. Some are looking for ways to save on out-of-pocket costs with a value-driven MSP world that can provide more insights than what they're currently getting, and while still growing that client's revenue, right? Because money speaks volumes. The underlying factor in all of these struggles comes down to the ability to see what is needed to be changed in a timely manner. The ability to review day-to-day operations in a trending graph or an emailed report direct to the client or the program manager when a worker is due to expire their contract or a process is stalled in the hiring stage. The ability to see the ability to see everything in real time versus waiting for a profits and loss statement a month after the fact of the month close. Instead, you can see it as soon as the invoice is processed so that you can see, are you on track to trend? Are you, missing the mark? Like, how can we make these changes real time versus a month after the fact or a quarter after the fact? And it's just everything in real time. Yeah, so some of the challenges to visibility is getting the information displayed in an understandable format in a real-time manner. Not everybody loves data like I do. They don't have an analytical background. They don't know how to work out of Excel. They don't have the time for that. It hurts their eyes to go cross-eyed looking at data all day long, and they should really be focused on their business elsewhere. If instead, with our technical innovations team, we can create automated reportings with trend lines and graphs through our wrap data layer to show where you're projected to spend after an invoice is processed each cycle, compare it to the spend that was projected, then we can easily identify if we're going to be over, if we're going to be under a budget, and we can adjust accordingly in real time. We can utilize some of our developed methodologies to compare the processes within a higher cycle time to reduce the cost when having to replace workers or to hire for new positions. We can help identify those bottleneck in processes and make suggestions to improve the time between steps, which reduces the cost to the companies. We can work to identify missing timesheets within a projected pay cycle to keep the spend closer to what is actually projected and forecasted to occur instead of creating spikes or divots inside of our invoicing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can work with our clients to reduce their costs. It's not having the answers in real time. We're in the age of technology where we are used to having everything at our fingertips within moments. We want the knowledge to be within reach and not have to wait 24 to 48 business hours for a team to code out a new report to see something that should be readily available. If the data is readily available to us, then we want it readily available to our clients so that they can make an informed decision on the current state of business and not outdated information. Standard business metrics should be available within a few clicks of a button and not days later. So I think the key objectives our clients look for are cost, cost, and cost. What is the cost to use various tools and resources to make their business better? This includes the VMS systems, the MSP provider, the program suppliers with their associated fees, Is it really necessary for that price point versus the value that is added to their business? What is the cost associated with business projections related to the project needs that they may have? This includes the time it takes to find a worker with the right skill set, the cost of that worker, and the supplier fees, and then the time and cost associated to complete the project, including any possible complications that may arise. Are they realistic to the current real world timing, the locations, and the project itself? The last objective is what costs can be saved by changing small things within the business to increase profitability and revenue while decreasing unnecessary expenditures. Perhaps it's looking not at markup percentages, but rather the straight dollars and cents when filling roles. There may be some companies that pay in a lower markup rate, but are being actually charged a higher dollar amount with other than what you would have gotten from another supplier with a markup percent that was higher. Potentially, it could be the process of adding a second interview to the hiring process where there may have been a high turnover of workers at a location. Or maybe it's the reviewing of the potential of adding of benefits to certain roles, like paid holidays to contracted workers to reduce the turnover and the need to paying, to backfill a position. All of these objectives are themes that Workspend helps to identify and discuss with our clients to improve their business and goals. Real-time, understandable technology. The ability to view information in a day-to-day environment in different ways to see whether or not their spend is increasing, decreasing, or in some type of cyclical pattern. To be able to transform the hard-to-read data in a usable interpretation within seconds instead of hours. Imagine being able to compare headcount to spend without the need to create pivot tables on your own or look at year-over-year trends with ease. It's the breaking down of information between locations and labor categories and hire types without difficulty to be able to compare them to each other. The wrap data layer is designed to do all of that. It takes the mundane, repeatable tasks, we automate them, and it's at the end user's fingertips. These are not the same visuals that you'll see in a VMS, but rather an innovative way of reviewing all pieces of the data to give a very clear view of where your business stands. We break down spend by the hire type, the supplier, the labor category. We can even go to a division within company, within month over month or quarter over quarter. We can do year on year graphs. We do the same with hire types and terminations. Who doesn't like the ability to see where we're lacking in a position and being able to instantaneously read that instead of filtering through all of the data? So what would have taken hours to compile from a VMS, we do within minutes. So we, as in Workspend, are able to take the data, we analyze it, we slice it into smaller amounts, and really hone in on what is occurring, not just spend, but all sides of the business we have access to. We're able to find the trends, the pain points, the outliers. We look for excessive use and overtime by a job or location, higher than normal markups, bill rates, pay rates, excessive negative ends, or higher than average cycle time steps to fill into a role. Once we identify those issues, we get down to what's the root cause behind those issues and make recommendations to our program team on how we can correct it moving forward to improve the business. We provide the visuals to make it very straightforward so that we can assist our clients in the gaining control of their spend. Having an interactive MSP that works with you to grow your success, not just repeat the same data that you see in the VMS. We want to ask those hard questions. We want to ask, why do things happen? Is there ways to improve? And can we save the client money while growing our client for our mutually beneficial relationship? Can we improve the quality of the program? Maybe identifying root causes of quits and firings and creating a process to reduce it. Reviewing supplier optimizations and diversifications to allow more accessibility of talented workers rather than sticking to a handful of suppliers where the candidates are limited. Can we help reduce the time it takes for a company on repeatable tasks? The old adage that time is money is just as true today as it was for my parents and grandparents' generation. The more time it takes to complete a task, the more money it costs. If the company is relying on Excel spreadsheets and pivot tables, how much time does that take? And how much money is that costing for those tasks when it can be automated and less time and at your fingertips? How much time is used in the steps of the hiring process? Are there bottlenecks to the process that are costing a loss of the identified talent when small changes could be made to that quality of the process and reduce that cost and that time? The risk of not doing anything is getting left behind, and this is what we used to do mentality. With change comes growth, new opportunities for improving processes, but not having any change, it may cost more financially in the future or cause harder losses, such as a once thriving business. It is a hard subject to discuss, but the world around us is changing with technology, and innovation is key. If we don't adapt to those changes and change the way that we think as well, we may be looked at as obsolete ourselves. We have an amazing team with a highly diverse background that complement each other. We collaborate for looking on new approaches on how to use the data we receive to grow our insights and analytics department. We allow for the voice of new ways of thinking to be heard and test that against the data we receive. We think in terms of what the current day brings us on challenges, costs, what potentially drives and motivates the workers and our clients, and put that into, do we see an impact in the data, and how does this affect our clients? We look at forecasting and trending of data, not just historical, but where it's actually headed in this day and age. We try to solve for the what ifs before they occur where we can. And then each year brings a new challenge. We must be ready to power through those challenges and come out ahead instead of thinking the old way worked and still hope it does. We're working on many different sides of the business. Some of that is being able to generate pay rates. How much are people paying in the area of Texas or the area of New York? Because everywhere is different. And so what we're trying to do is gather open sourcing that has all of the information based on a job title. So we can type in data analytics, right? And be able to pull up a specific location and say, this is what your competitive wage would be and this particular job category and in this particular area, because what we make inside of Houston, Texas is going to be different than New York, right? There's a different cost of living allowance, there's different expectations, but instead we can take all of that data and say, if you're looking to hire in this specific location for this specific job category, this is what you're going to want to pay at. And then we can also generate the actual rec itself for you of what all is required with the job description and, the expectations as far as, the skill set that is required based on all of that open source AI that is already out there. We're just going to tap right into it and put it into wrap so that our hiring managers can easily create new recs by just typing in a job title. I think the key is taking it from a very manual process of Gen 1 to a very automated process. Save them time with downloading the reports daily. Instead, it's at their fingertips because we pull it into our system and we display it in very reasonable formats. Like, we even have it to where if you did need to download it, it's right there in the same, tie in together, so that they don't have to tie it themselves. Again, with a lot of the times they want to know headcount and spend. What is our headcount compared to how we're spending? Are we higher or lower? It's all tied together. They just have to download the report or view it on the website live. A lot of the times the clients are not aware of all the things that are taking place in the background with their people. They don't pay attention to the individual's pay rates. They don't pay attention to the markup percents. And it really comes to light when they come to us and we upload it, and immediately it turns around and you can see the results of where you are today versus where you could be. Some come to us with 50% markups on their programs, and we say we can offer it for 20%. And how much money are you going to save in the long run because you decided to take that next approach and just review the information with us to allow us the opportunity to show you our product. It's super straightforward technology that allows for you to see your business as a whole, and we can break it down by that individual or by the supplier. Maybe a certain supplier has been, going around a certain process. Instead of sticking with a markup, they're doing the higher markup. Instead, we come in and say, no, this can't happen anymore. It needs to be, you set it. Here's your limitation, max bill rate. Don't go over that, and move forward. And it's just opening their eyes to the things that they didn't see previous. And that's what WRAP brings, is being able to pull all of those, web cobwebs out of the closet and just be able to see the data in real time and at your fingertips to really hone in on what's causing the leak of cost or the ability to, increase the business.